once you break it down and you have the proper tools to tackle the project, it's really not that hard. And the rest of it just bolts together. And that's what I love about the racks and the extrusion. It's so universal, and you can add different accessories. You can make it modular. Each Tacoma, the way they have it set up is completely different. So it's interesting to see once customers do install it, what they add to their truck or how they, modify it or set it up.
Warning. The 4x4 Canada podcast contains discussion about exploring mountains, camping beside lakes, and enjoying the outdoors. Guests also talk about jumping race trucks side by side, racing 1,000 horsepower rigs across mud pits, and jumping monster trucks over stacks of buses. None of this is for the faint of heart. The 4x4 Canada podcast is not responsible for bringing out your inner adrenaline junkie or making you want to get out there and explore the back roads from coast to coast. The 4x4 Canada podcast is not responsible for broken parts due to jumping your vehicle, hitting mud poles too hard, crossing deep streams, and doing other dumb shit. However, we will take credit for inspiring you to explore mountaintops, spend quality time outdoors with your friends, or meeting new like-minded people, and most importantly of all, following your dreams. Welcome to the 4x4 Canada podcast. I'm your host, Wes. Tricia is not with us today. She is working, unfortunately. We do have a real special guest here today. We've got Kevin from Tactical Roof Rack. They manufacture roof racks for Toyotas, and we'll be talking with him in a second. But before we get into it, I just wanted to remind all our listeners that if you enjoy the show, click the subscribe or follow button where you're listening to us. Also, let your friends know about the 4x4 Canada podcast. We are the only Canadian-based 4x4 overlanding podcast. So, Kevin, welcome to the 4x4 Canada podcast.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks, Wes, for having us.
Not a problem. I'm looking forward to this. I'm a Tacoma owner, and anytime that we can talk Toyotas and anytime we can talk with small business owners, I'm all over that. So really looking forward to this today. So you guys make roof racks for Toyotas and a couple other things that we'll get into as well. Our listeners can reach you at the tacticalroofrack.ca and Tactical Roof Rack on Facebook and Instagram, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we just recently upgraded the website to Shopify, so it's a little bit more streamlined and just easier to check out, a little bit more pictures of the racks, a little more detail, and free shipping across Canada.
That's a huge bonus right there. And we'll get into your roof racks first. You make them for the Tacomas and the 5th gen 4Runners. One of the neat things about them is that you mentioned the free shipping, but the fact that they are a bolt together kit. They're not just a one big size of a cab kind of idea. That obviously makes it easier for the shipping in that. They're black powder coated aluminum and really good looking rack. And
Thank you.
What got you into making roof racks? Was that because you owned a Tacoma yourself and you were looking for something? Or
I had a Dodge Ram actually. So previously I had a canopy with a different roof rack on there that wasn't meeting my needs, and just was looking for something a little bit more streamlined. A few guys at work had the Tacomas, and they were obviously into the overlanding. They had a few different roof racks on their truck. So I thought there had to have been a solution out there. So went out to the Tacoma World Forum, and there was a lot of guys making their own designs, different, so DIY. So went on the BC Toyota Facebook page, started joining there and just taking a look at what people were up to. Within a week, there was a company out of Abbotsford and they were offering their design services. So I sent them my ideas. We started from there trying to come up with that idea for my truck canopy. From there, it snowballed to make some more and just improve on designs. And for those, so the first ones were steel, quite heavy for the canopy. So I started there. When I posted on Marketplace for sale, it just blew up, and all the Tacoma drivers were, hey, do you have one for the cab? Do you want to have one for the cab? I pivoted from making the canopy because they weren't super popular, because not a lot of guys rock the canopy as more. So I thought there has to have been a market here. And it was just before COVID. So I think like a lot of people were at home. A lot of people were, maybe it was just the timing with the seasons that people were interested in purchasing at the time. Not a lot of options locally. So I just thought, yeah, why not try and get into designing something that would work for the cab portion? And yeah, just having the knowledge base from the Tacoma World Forums and the BC Facebook page, just seeing all the different designs and makes, and collaboratively coming up with a design that worked for the cab. So
it actually worked opposite of what I thought.
Yes.
Or I assumed.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Now, your cab ones on the Tacomas, it looks like a pretty easy install. I watched that video that you had with Kelly on your website, and it looks like a fairly simple process of basically just removing that, for lack of better terms, weather stripping that's on there.
Yeah. That's probably the most difficult part, is just coming up with how to punch the holes for the standoffs. Yeah. Once you break it down and you have the proper tools to tackle the project, it's really not that hard. And the rest of it just bolts together. And that's what I love about the racks and the extrusion. It's so universal, and you can add different accessories. You can make it modular. Each Tacoma, the way they have it set up is completely different. So it's interesting to see once customers do install it, what they add to their truck or how they, modify it or set it up. Yeah. Sorry. Going back to your original comment. Yeah. There's different ways to remove the weather stripping and to prep it. So that, with Kelly, that was awesome to be able to use the shop, utilize this Tacoma and showcase how to install it. So that was great. Big helps.
No doubt. So one of the things I did notice is on the, I'm calling it weather stripping. I'm not sure if that's the right terminology, but that black plastic piece that runs from the front of the cab to the back of the cab on each side, you've got to remove that, and then you've got to punch some holes in there that line up with your existing holes that are already drilled in your cab from the factory. I saw you used a punch because there is a metal piece embedded into that rubber. Would something like a hole saw or something like that work, or what's the easiest way for most people to do that?
Yeah, I've tried both ways. So on my own personal vehicle, when I first picked it up, I thought, okay, let's try both ways. So the first method is the easiest and the most efficient and the cleanest, because it leaves most of the metal and intact with that weather stripping going back. The second method I would recommend is to flip it over and trim. You're able to trim the backside of that weather stripping where the metal is, and use, say, a pair of side cutters, and you remove the backside of that weather stripping, and then you're just left with the front side, which would be about 1/8 of an inch thick, and you can drill through that with a 3/4 inch, like a normal wood bit. But if you had a bimetal carbide hole saw, that would take care of it. I think the issue is once the bit cuts through the metal, it could tear a little bit. So I haven't tried that method. I've heard of customers trying it and they've had success. But my recommendation would be Amazon has the punches for about $20.
That's not bad. Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. And usually they're quite readily available. Ackland's Granger has them for about $20 as well. This kind of arc punch is what they call it. It's just an easy method. It's clean. But again, some people, and then the third method is just to completely cut a notch in that stripping. Basically, it's more of I would say, a finishing product. It does provide some weather proofing to that channel, but after you remove it or cut holes in it, the additional sealant is the silicone or the RTV silicone to provide that additional weatherproofing to the roof rack.
Yeah, I've actually got mine missing on the driver's side right now. I've got to get a new one.
Yeah, they're not cheap either. Yeah.
No, I was looking into it, and a friend of mine pointed it out, and I'm like, I wonder how long that's been missing. I never noticed it.
Yeah. What's interesting too, from the factory, if you have a factory roof rack, some models, I think like the SR5 or the off-road, some have a factory roof rack, and they actually remove the factory weather stripping. And I'm sure it's somewhere in the shop, but so some people, if they have the factory one, there is no weather stripping in that channel.
So for our listeners, easiest way to understand what we've been talking about is go to tacticalroofrot.ca and have a look at the video that Kelly had up there, the install on Kelly's truck, because it just puts everything together in a more visual form rather than trying to explain it through words kind of idea. But what you made sense in regards to the trimming it from the back or from the punch totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a super difficult task. Small tools. Yeah. So also there's another video from Spencer Hogue. He's from the ShipX. He's got his Instagram handle and he's rocking the Tacoma roof rack. So he did a quick install video as well with his truck in Alberta there. And very simple, one person operation. And yeah, it's, again, watching the video, I think really helps people understand. And I do the same thing when I'm putting anything in to my truck, is to watch the install video, or people that have put them online. So it's great that, yeah, influencers have helped me out and put their own spin on it. And yeah, it's awesome to see what they do with their trucks.
So I'm going to ask a question that I know you get asked all the time. I'm running an access cab. Why don't you have an access cab rack available?
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. The access cab from the factory, they don't provide the riv nuts or the mounting points in the access cab. I didn't want to take the liability responsibility to be drilling into the roof. Currently, we are looking at potentially making a model and then putting that onto the consumer to take to a shop to provide that service. Currently, with the double cab, it's just bolting into that solution. So it's just an easier way for people to mount. So the access cab, again, there's just the additional step that would make it more difficult for some, or they might not want to take that risk that's involved to drill. Currently, that's the only way that I've seen that's able to secure to the access cab. So I know there's some other companies, they do have different mounting solutions, but the same profile, same design, same materials would require to drill at this point for us. So there's a lot that goes into the R&D, right? Like into just designing where the holes go, and it took a lot of revisions to get the one that I have correct. And even still today, we're refining it here and there to make it just that much better for customers.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I just assumed that it was just a shorter rack. But I didn't realize that the access cabs didn't have the holes already lined in. So you'd have to drill a hole, put a riv nut in, and then worry about all the sealing. And as you mentioned off air, the airbags and different things like that.
Yeah, it's a very specific, like I've watched a couple install videos, and yeah, it's a very specific place where you need to drill due to the airbags. And also, yeah, like I said, the liability of putting in the riv nut correctly, properly, and you only get one shot at it. Yeah.
And we're talking about a cab. We're not just talking about a fender that you can replace or something like that. This is your cab, right? So I totally get that. So totally understandable. Now, with your roof racks, and they're fitting the Tacomas of 2005 to 23, luckily Toyota kept their cabs pretty much the same through the years. So that works out quite well. You also make, as you mentioned earlier, roof racks for the canopies, as that's where you started. Roof racks on the canopies, that much of a harder, they seem to me that they'd be a lot harder install because you have to worry about drilling holes, or are you only supplying them for canopies that already have mountings for racks in them?
Currently, we are just supplying with the tracks that have been installed either by the customer or from the factory.
Yeah.
So we have mounting feet that double as the tent mounting feet. So we flip those over, they mount to the tracks, the roof rack then mounts, the extrusion bars mount to the mounting feet, and then the side plates go on the side. So I would say it's an easier install as far as between the two, if you're going to compare them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is similar measuring that's required, similar tools that are required. Again, it's probably about a 1 hour to 2 hour install. I don't have one for the canopy yet, an install video. But again, we're just constantly working on design revisions, working on improving the product, making it easier for the consumer going forward. We recently finished installation instructions. So we've got an instruction manual on the website. And then, of course, the installation videos from the Instagram influencers that we've got.
No, that's great. I do love the fact that it is all bolt together. In one way, it would be easier to install if it was already all one piece, but I know shipping would be absolute nightmare, right?
Yeah.
And doesn't look like it's as bad as putting together an IKEA table. They're actually decent instructions from what I saw, and you don't have 50,000 nuts and screws and stuff like that. It's designed that it's the minimum amount that you need. What is the weight carrying capacity on the racks?
We generally say about 500 to 600 pounds. The cab is rated for up to 600. So that's generally what, we try and stick in that weight frame. I've seen, people do mount rooftop tents onto the cab, on top of the rack, and I've had zero issues with people having issues with the racks on the cab portion. Yeah, we haven't had it tested, but we've put weight onto the aluminum extrusion, multiplied that over the course of the whole rack. Yeah, we've done same thing, just load testing, standing on top of it, adding some additional weights and stuff like that. But yeah, it's because of the bolt through design. The bolts are very strong. They can hundreds of pounds that each bolt can hold. So multiply, and basically that's what's holding the bulk of the weight is the extrusion bars that are bolted through the side.
Right. So should people go through like once a year or something like that and tighten up the fasteners, or is that something that once they're on there, they're pretty good?
Yeah, it's interesting. I would recommend it. I have had one or two that have come loose. So it's really interesting to see which ones they all get tightened down. But yeah, for some reason, sometimes they do tend to back out.
There's a lot of vibration and bouncing around going and stuff, right? So I just wasn't sure if it's something that you've come across.
Yeah, we do recommend like just to have a look. Yeah, not so much the cab bolts, it's more the side bolts where just the swaying back and forth and up and down motions. They do sometimes, they do jiggle loose a little bit, but not, again, like it's random that that it happens. We don't recommend using Loctite. Like I did that on my first trial and error, and Loctite definitely locks them in there. We use like an anti-seize product that also helps with the corrosion and the different metals and the oxidizations. We use stainless steel hardware going into aluminum, so there's always that chance of the metals, dissimilar metals, right? So sometimes they've recommended to use the anti-seize. So in the instructions and the videos, now we've added that portion, and that will also help with keeping the product tight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So on your 4Runners, you also make a roof rack for the 5th gen 4Runners. Looks really great. It almost looks like it should have been there from the factory. It's just a nice, clean look, I think, on the theme. You've got another install video on the 4Runner page from her adventure life. And she mentioned that you can put the customer's logo on the fairing. And
that's correct.
Obviously for an extra cost, that's not going to be part of your regular run kind of idea, right? So there is obviously an extra charge on that, but I thought that was cool. We could put your Instagram logo or your YouTube logo or your company name or whatever on there. So that's a really neat option for guys.
Yeah, I was approached by a few companies, Pacific Backroader, obviously Brittany from her Venture Life. I saw one today actually in the parking lot, that one of the original ones. It was a Boondock Overlands. Different guys have different sayings or Instagram handles, and it's just neat when you see them on the road. And there's Mike Colossi. He's a big Instagram influencer. So there's a few people like that personal touch or a personal logo. I've done logos before for people that say they have a certain logo so we can't do everything. Obviously, it's a different fairing. So there's drawings involved to be able to tweak that to make it fit properly. So there's different tolerances. So sometimes the machine, it needs a certain design to cut, right? Yeah.
And you can't put the Toyota logo on there. We know that one.
Yeah, we've been playing with different logos and different designs, and I'm still tweaking it here and there just to get it perfect and I'm always I'd like to get to a point where we can have a specific design. But again, with the 4Runner and the Tacoma, they're different sizes. So fairings are a little bit different. So to be able to use the same sizing, the same fonts, the same logos, sometimes it's difficult just due to the constraints of the roof racks.
That's neat. Like I say, though, you can put whatever your Instagram logo or whatever you want on there within, as long as the machine can cut it, kind of idea, right?
Yeah. It's a nice service that it's been popular over the years, and people have they put their personal touch on it, and then it's it's their own, right? So it definitely adds that personalization to their roof rack. And we enjoy it. I love seeing people out there and seeing our products on the street. So it's been
that's got to be a good feeling. Seeing something in the parking lot and hey, I made that.
It's pretty neat.
Cool. So with sticking with the 4Runner, is the install a bit more involved on that one because there's more crossbars in that, or is other than that, it's pretty similar to a Tacoma rack?
Yeah, I'd say it's almost easier. And like you're going back to your original comments, I personally like the look of it as well on the
Yeah.
4Runner. And I've been thinking about getting a 4Runner lately. But yeah, I'm trying to convince the fiance to get one too. So we can have matching 4Runner Tacomas. But yeah, the install is, I'd say, the same or easier. So 99% of the come with the factory roof rack.
Yeah.
Very simple removal, 12 mil, 13 mil bolts. So you remove those with the crescent wrench. And then the weather stripping is pre-cut on the back sections for the factory. And then that also lines up perfectly for the spacers that are required. The only cutting is up front. And my first video, I went a little overboard with the cutting wheel. But again, you can just use a side cutter or some lineman pliers because it has the same metal in that weather stripping that you need to get through it to attach the front foot, which keeps the rack from swaying back and forth. So it's basically a front tab that goes up near the sunroof in the weather channel, and that secures with a 3M automotive tape. So now the rack's secure up front and secure in the back, and it's same thing. It's about an hour and a half. When you first probably doing it, maybe I'd allow it to about 2 hours to put the rack together, bolt it together, and then install it on the vehicle. Depending on how you install it, so if you're put it together on the ground, it would probably require 2 people to lift it up, just due to the size and the awkwardness of trying to align it with the mounting holes. The other option is to build one side at a time and then add the crossbars as you go. So sometimes if I'm working by myself, I'll do that method just for ease of installation. But yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's nice.
Seems nice and simple, but I think it'll always be easier with another person just there to help out. So
yeah, I've learned the hard way.
I bet. So with the 4Runner, you've also got molle panels available that go on the outside of the rear window that attaches to your rack. So people can mount Rotopacks or whatever they want on there. So maybe you can tell listeners a little bit about those.
Yeah, that was another design, just looking out in the industry, Tacoma World and the 4Runner forums and just seeing what people were adding to their vehicles. And that just looked like a neat product to add. And again, we used Brittany's 4Runner to kind of prototype that product. She was the guinea pig to get the testing done because again, with the 4Runner angles, there's a lot of curves and different angles to that vehicle. A lot of prototypes to get it correct. So I know the 4Runner with the trunk space is pretty tight. To be able to add fuel, water, you could add shovels, axes, all sorts of exterior accessories. When you add your rooftop tent, we saw a problem where you might not have room to mount certain accessories. So the window was the next best place. And it just adds that tactical feel to the truck. The molle panels are a huge hit on the interior, but we thought, let's try with the exterior and see how those hold up. And same thing, we've had a few little revisions here and there to get it correct. But for the most part, everyone's been super happy with them and they've been a big seller for sure.
It's interesting how many people don't realize how much work goes into the R&D on a product.
Yeah.
I've come from where I was doing some manufacturing and that, and we would have sometimes 3-4 revisions just on drawings before we actually even get into the actual assembly on the first unit and stuff like that, the prototyping and that. And it's amazing how much time goes into designing a product, no matter how simple you think it might be.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's the companies that we work with, they're busy as well, right? It's a busy industry. Everyone's picking up. So to get a design nailed down, the drawing process, like you said, then actually printing it and then trying to line up, because with us, we'd have to use customer vehicles to be able to prototype with. So it's lining up their schedules. A lot of them live out in the valley, so we have to create a schedule to meet up and then tweak it from there and then go back to the drawing board if it didn't work. But a lot of people, that's why I love the community. Everyone's been super helpful to help out. And anybody that's had a new design or new idea, I constantly get grab handles or the molle panels for mounting. Same thing, the Rotopacks in between the roof rack. So there's constantly people that are looking for new stuff, and we try and look at what we can do to maximize materials and what would be the most popular kind of for next year kind of thing. Yeah, it's been fun.
But it's always interesting, right? So it makes you think, which helps you improve as well, too.
Yeah, for sure.
So on the molle panel one for the 4Runner, it attaches to the top to your rack.
Yep.
How does it attach at the bottom?
So the bottom uses suction cups to the window. So we use a ram mount, suction mount. So the ram mounts have been around for a long time, and they're probably one of the most common vehicle mounting accessories. So I use them on my dash mount and stuff. We quickly saw that they made the suction cup, and it had, so that was one of the big hiccups, was trying to find something that was going to work, something that we could get readily available. And obviously at a cost that's conducive to the whole product as a package. That one seemed to work and seemed to have the best securing to the vehicle. Plus, I like the fact that it's screwed into or bolted in through the molle panel as well. So if it did come loose or lose its suction, it's not going to fall off the vehicle. You're not going to lose it. It's not, so it's secured to the vehicle. You simply just reattach if it became an issue. Again, like I said, the rear one seemed to be having an issue of coming loose because of the curvature. So we made some design tweaks by changing the angles, and then also just increasing that length of where the rear mount goes to the glass, because there's quite a curve or an arc from the front to the back.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, so it took some, and same thing depending on which user was using it and depending on what they're putting on there. So now we've had them in full test mode. Everyone's been running them for about a year plus, and everyone's been super happy with the new design, and they've been secure. So again, it's just more just improving on the design.
So keeping with the molle panels, you've also got molle panels for the inside of the bed on the Tacomas. So basically people can do the same thing. They can put a rotopack there, or axe or shovels or whichever. You've got them for the long box only. Is there plans for a short box?
Yeah, for sure. We just haven't come across a short box model that has they have the molle panels, or they've got stuff or like bed box or something in there. Currently I'm rocking the long box, so that's where it was easy to prototype that one. So they mount specifically to where the factory channel is for the T-Track. Yeah, we needed to make sure that everything lines up properly for the short box, and also with the wheel wells are a little bit different with the short box. Yeah, we had a few people reach out from the States. We're not currently shipping to the States yet. So if there's a short box customer out there that would like one, we'd like to work with them to be able to get that design nailed down. And basically the molle panel for the inside comes in two panels. So there's the rear section, which would be the same, and then just the extended version. But we just haven't come across a short box yet that we can utilize their dimensions to be able to come up with one. But very handy. Same thing. I was haphazardly adding stuff to the side rail or jerry rigging something. And again, we thought there's probably something out there that could be a better securement for adding that. So we took the design of everything that was out there and modeled what would be the easiest for the customer to be able to mount their equipment safely, and utilizing the factory hardware as well was a bonus. So
using that track that's already there. Rumor has it that you're working on bed racks. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah,
or can you?
No, we can. Yeah, I can just say that we're
working on them. Yeah. So basically working on a new design. I assume it's going to be a modular design as well, like a bolt together design.
Yeah. So we're looking at utilizing the next step up in extrusion. So with the bed racks, utilizing the extrusion, the same aluminum, having a modular design, having the molle panels. So it's going to be a pretty beefy bed rack to mount rooftop tents and accessories. With the extrusion, it just provides a mounting surface that's completely modular. You can add accessories quite easily to it. Some people add the lights or the rotopacks or different accessories, the quick fists or whatever. So instead of drilling, you can add a simple T-nut, a carriage bolt. And so utilizing the same thought process was to use the extrusion, just a bit beefier than the roof rack to be able to support. And it's a little bit more freestanding. Utilizing a beefier extrusion just makes that rack a lot stronger.
Would you be mounting it through the channels that are on the top of the bed? Kind of idea? Or
Correct.
How would it be? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's mounted in through the bed on the Tacomas, and then it's bolted. So there's a proprietary design that would mount over top of the rail, and then the extrusion mounting bars would get bolted into that bracket.
Gotcha.
And then again, it's a bolt together design, so everything would be bolted together. Very simple install and very strong at the same time.
So what do you think about it on the height wise? Is that something that would be adjustable, or is it going to be like, say, all the same height? Like myself, I prefer to have my tent cab height, whereas I know a lot of people prefer to go higher.
Yeah. So we're going to start with the Tacoma, utilizing a customer's vehicle. So we're going to start there. It's the most popular model. We're going to offer 3 different sizing for the bed rack. So there'll be the cab height, mid height, and then the low rise.
Everybody seems to have different thoughts on that. So you almost got to go different options, right? So,
Yeah. And it's tough to, like I've seen, there's the Thule system where it's adjustable, but it's tough with the extrusion once it's cut. So there's no real way to change that. Once
3-part numbers.
You got to pick your heights, and that's what you got. Yeah.
So, like I mentioned earlier, I prefer mine cab height, especially the fact I can put my kayaks on above. I've got a rack that goes up over for my kayaks as well. Are you rocking rooftop tent as well in your Tacoma?
Yeah. So currently utilizing Tapella rooftop tents out in Abbotsford there. So another great company. So we've been working with them last little while, promoting each other's stuff. Again, when I was doing installs, selling products, everyone was looking for a rooftop tent. So they reached out and they said, hey, why don't we work together, rep each other's product? And so I sent a lot of customers his way, and vice versa. When he was installing rooftop tents, he was wondering, oh, who's this tactical roof rack guys? And then people were curious of how to mount their rooftop tent. And so he said, well, go see Kevin at Tactical. He'll give you a rack and we'll install the tent after that's done. So we joined up and working together to promote each other's products and make things more streamlined for the customer. And yeah, just offer 2 great products.
Yeah, they've got a very good quality set of tents. They've got 3 or 4 designs there, I think. But yeah, Tapella in Abbotsford, isn't it? That they're in?
Abbotsford, yeah. Yeah. So they just came out with a new aluminum hard shell, and that one's quite nice. And so it's the same thing on top of there. They've got the mounting bars, which is a huge plus for, like you say, adding your kayak, or if you wanted to add, sometimes in the summertime, we'll go paddleboarding. So adding a paddleboard. So now it provides a secure mounting spot for that. And yeah, it just makes life easier. So a lot of companies are going that direction.
Yeah, the hard top is really nice for that. That's the one, and also ease of setup as well too.
Yeah.
I have been talking to them about coming onto the show, but we just couldn't get our schedules to work together for a bit. So I do have to reach out to him again and about coming on the show, because definitely want to hear more about the Tapella rooftop tents. So you're obviously running for the Toyotas because they seem to be one of the more popular vehicles for the overlanding. Have you got plans to start making racks for other vehicles, say a Frontiers or other things like that?
I think that's in the works further down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a lot of customers like the Lexus GX, Sequoias, a lot of Jeeps, a lot of Ford customers. But again, it's just devoting that time and energy into designing R&D a new product. And will that sell with that model, right? So what I found is a lot of customers, they've already, those vehicles already have a roof rack installed overall, say across Canada. Most people have already found a manufacturer to install that. So I think looking forward, we're probably, again, the 4th gen Tacoma, that's going to be a new design. There'll probably be a 6th gen 4Runner. So I think we've got enough on our plate to keep busy with just those models alone, and getting the word out across Canada that we can ship. And so it stopped being in BC, but we've had numerous sales across the country, and it's been awesome to see where people find out about the company and what they do with the roof rack and where they go in their travels. And yeah, it's really neat. So I think moving forward, the Toyota lineup is the best for our company and seems to be the most popular in the overlanding field. So,
well, it's definitely got to be a return on investment, right? You don't want to design, you don't want to take hours and hours to design something you might sell 4 or 5 of a year. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at when customers do reach out. I'd like to help everybody, but it's just not the case with a small business. And again, with our schedules, time frame, and just the vehicles that are out there.
Totally understandable for sure. So once again, you mentioned free shipping across Canada, right? How far east have your racks gone?
I think I've gone to Prince Edward Island in Nova
Wow.
Scotia. Yeah. So there's been a few over there, a lot in
Nice.
Ontario, and then quite a few to Alberta. So where
That's
else?
cool.
That's probably about the furthest. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 4Runners over there that are rocking the tactical roof rack. So a lot of word of mouth, and it's nice when you get a recommendation or an email from somebody that's been referred. So it's definitely, it's a good feeling. And it's good that people are happy, and we look forward to making more.
Cool. So once again, we're talking to Kevin from Tactical Roof Racks, a BC-based company, manufactures racks for the Toyotas, the Tacomas, and the 5th Gen 4Runners. And as you just heard, we're going to have the new Tacomas coming up and some 6th Gen 4Runners coming up soon. So making racks for those. Free shipping all across Canada, and really beautiful product. I definitely recommend checking out their website at tacticalroofrack.ca. That way you can check out more photos and videos of the installs, and also their Instagram. You guys got a lot of good photos that have been supplied by your customers on your Instagram account too, at Tactical Roof Rack.
Yeah, it's been really helpful to be able to show off the brand and show off the customer's vehicle, and learning Instagram. And so it's been a huge hurdle for me, not delving into the business side of it and learning as we go. But it's nice when customers send photos and be able to share those out to the community. It really helps, and it helps people, hey, that guy's done that to his truck, and so spread that one picture to everybody. It helps people realize what they can do with their truck or what they might want to do. So it's, like I said, it's such a great community where you're able to share those and be part of the group.
Last question that we ask every guest is, what Canadian would you like to listen to on the 4x4 Canada podcast?
Working with Tapella Rooftop Tents, Chris has been a big influence in helping grow the company and repping the brand, and we've been repping each other's products. There's lots of great influencers out there in the community, but Chris would be a neat guy to talk to and get some insight on where he started and how he's growing his business and where the direction is that they're going. So that would be a neat guest to have on.
Yeah, Tapella, they definitely got some really neat products, like we mentioned earlier, and that new hard shell. I'm really looking forward to seeing that new hard shell in person.
Yeah, we took it down to Oregon this summer, and it was awesome. Set up really well, nice and comfortable, and it was a great product to have on the truck for sure. Yeah, it's a little bit different than everybody's, right? So they all got their little nuances, and their tents seem to be. He's got the interchangeable flies, different size tents. Yeah, different accessories. It's got the LED lights built in. So that's a nice product.
Definitely. Yeah, Ryan Van Veen off of Instagram.
Right,
Ryan Van Veen Photography. He's got one, and he's not too far away from me in Vernon, and I've spent some time with him and his tents. And he's had a couple different versions of tents over the years of the pellet ones, and they're all nice, really nice quality in that. So once again, we're talking to Kevin from Tactical Roof Racks. If you need a roof rack for your Tacoma, check them out at tacticalroofrack.ca and on Facebook. And as we mentioned, Instagram, lots of great photos on there. I really want to thank you for taking your Sunday afternoon to chat with me today, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Wes. Really appreciate it.